back with How to Homeschool My Child. I am so glad that you are here tonight. This is not my best time of day, but from what I've seen, this is the time that a lot more people are here at Top Picks. So I am here to share my last Facebook Live with you. Thank you for spending time with me this weekend takeover. It was actually a lot of fun. It kept me busy trying to keep up with it all. So, I'm going to talk just about a personal topic, and I'm actually a little nervous to talk to you about this because it's actually opening up and telling a little bit of my story. So I'm going to be talking about what do we do when life gets hard? What do we do when the holidays get hard? And how do we find joy? And if you're joining us, feel free to just pop a comment in there. If life gets hard, what do you do? I'd love to hear what other people do, but I'm going to be sharing my story mostly from the last 2 years and how the holidays, I had some really hard times and sometimes I did not react very well. So anyway, so feel free to leave a comment. Just let us know that you're here, and maybe even just, I don't know, tell us something fun that happened on Sunday too. So I'm going to jump right in and tell you, and I may get a little emotional, I'll just tell you. So back about 4 years ago, I shared this story for the first time publicly this summer. And then at the end of the summer, I shared it at our Homeschool Superheroes. But 4 years ago, my husband Steve left. And the first year I was in shock. A friend of mine said, "Oh, PTSD." And I was like, yeah, that's where I was. Not only was I in shock, but all our family and our friends were in shock. I would probably be a rich person if I had money for every time I told someone what was going on. No one could believe this is what was happening to our family. But that's a whole nother story, and that's not what I'm going to talk about. I will leave a comment here with the YouTube video of my sharing our story and how God has given me peace and freedom and victory, and it's really cool, and I'm excited about that. I will tell you before I move into the holidays that I believe God is going to reconcile our marriage and reconcile Steve as well. And how do I know that? The only word I can ever give you is faith. It's only God, but I feel like God has told me that He's going to reconcile. He is working in our marriage and our family as well. And I believe because of that, all glory will go to God. And that is cool and that's exciting. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. Because of that situation, the holidays have not been as wonderful and glorious as they were when the kids were growing up. It was difficult at that time. And I have no idea why, but for some reason, Thanksgiving is the hardest holiday for me since Steve has left. The kids, I have 2 kids that are married, and they alternate. 1 year they spend with our extended family, and the next year they spend with their in-laws. And so 2 years ago was the first time that I was going to be basically by myself for Thanksgiving because kids were with their in-laws. That meant they were inviting Steve to their Thanksgiving. And I actually ended up going to my parents, and I am so thankful. I have all wonderful parents, but it was just the 3 of us for Thanksgiving. It was a very difficult week for me, honestly. I struggled with my mind and struggled with thinking about what was going on over there at Gentry's house and all those inner chats. And the enemy was just attack. And I really had to struggle with that, especially on Thanksgiving. Friday was better. My brother came up, and really by Sunday, I was doing very well that week, I believe, for what was going on. But Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, again, attack. I got in the car and drove over to Steve's house and basically used our kids against him. I'm not going to share major details or anything. I'm just going to give you an overall vision of what happened. I used them against him and said some things that I shouldn't have. Over the next 6 weeks, I apologized to each one of my children and told them, I confessed my sin to them. It was wrong. And by January, I finally had a chance to talk to Steve face to face and apologize to him and confess to him that I should not have done that. and really had a lot of peace and freedom and victory because I apologized. And there was no reason, I did not tell people why. I just said, I am sorry. I confess my sin to them. I don't know where you are or what is going on in your life, but I will tell you one of the best things that God has taught me is how to apologize quickly and to confess my sin. And he says in his word, I think it's James 5:16, confess your sin and you will be healed. And I truly believe that. I have seen that in my life over and over. And the holidays are very difficult for me. And so I have learned that apologizing and confessing has helped. Last year, we had our extended family at my parents' farm. That meant my brother's family and all the kids and the grandkids. We were all there. I wasn't really sure if I was going to go, but I did end up going on, I was just going to go for the day on Thursday, so I ended up going. Without going into a lot of details, that entire week had actually been a very difficult week for me. I had a hard time getting out of bed, and I did not know it at the time until Sunday that I was depressed that week. And I just didn't see the signs. I knew that I was having a hard time getting out of bed, and it felt like that summer that Steve left. And so I really didn't know what was going on. But by the time Thanksgiving hit and we had Thanksgiving meal, and I was asked to pray afterwards for my sister and brother-in-law who weren't there, and I had an emotional explosion. It was bad, big time bad. I'm not going to share everything that I said or did. A lot of it was truth from God's word that I said, but it was an explosion. And basically after dinner, I got in the car and I came home. That was bad. But let me tell you what God did over the next 3 days. He worked in my life. Hi, Sarah from Idaho. Thanks for popping in. Feel free to leave a comment here and let me know where you're from, just so I can know who's here. But I sort of lose track of the comments. By Sunday, I realized what I had done. It was wrong. And I picked up the phone and I called every single adult or couple adult, like my brother and sister-in-law, or my mom and dad. I called them together and I apologized and I confessed. Now, there were some real reasons why the explosion happened. I could go into it, and now I could probably do it a lot better. There were some things that people had done that really hurt my feelings, and I couldn't understand why they had done that to me. But there was no excuse for me to say and do the things that I had done at the dinner table or after dinner. And so I called and apologized to every single one of them. And I can tell you, by Sunday evening and definitely by Monday morning, I had this inner peace. I had joy again. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what it was. And I just felt like I could move forward. December was still a difficult month for me at Christmas time. I was with family off and on the whole time, but it was still a difficult time. But I believe that confession and that apology is what moved me forward. Hi, Teresa from Montana. I love Montana. Actually, I lived in Idaho. I lived in Moscow, Idaho. I'm looking at the comments. So anyway, cool place, and we had to drive through Montana several times. Christina, I have not ever lived in Ohio, or we've driven through it, but that was about it. All right, so let me just tell you, I confessed, I apologized, I confessed my sin, and I had joy. But I think there was more to what was getting me through the day every single time. And so let me just tell you what happened. That whole week of December, when I was depressed, even though I didn't know it, I was still getting up every morning and I was reading my Bible. I was praying. I probably wasn't listening to God, but I was dealing with this inner chat. I don't know about you, but this is where it all starts. And this is what gets me messed up, is what's going on here inside my head. So I believe that because I was consistently going back to God all day long, every single day, God was there with me. I just needed to walk with him. I needed to listen to him. So that's the first thing that I think brings joy, because he says, in the presence of the Lord is joy. And then he says, the joy of the Lord is our strength. Joy, here's one. I knew it was something in here. Joy comes in the morning. And I do believe when we spend time with God, His presence gives us joy. And I will tell you something that I just read a month ago. That word presence really means face, literally. Not just the presence of God, but the face of God shining on us is what gives us joy. And I think because I kept consistently going to God and I was spending time with Him, I was in His presence, He did give me joy. And then because the joy of the Lord is our strength, I had that joy. Then I was able to move forward the next several weeks and walk through Christmas because I was spending time with Him. I had His joy, and that strength is what was getting through me off each and every single day. And then the third verse that I really like to share with people is, count it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. So the joy of the Lord, in the presence of the Lord is our joy. That joy, the joy of the Lord is our strength. And because we count it all joy, we have the strength to endure the trials that come our way, even in the holidays, I believe. So I believe a lot of it starts with spending time with God, praying and listening. This is the thing that is hardest for me, is listening. I can check off the Bible, I can check off the prayer. I can't really check off this. And so really it is finding some quiet time. And I know when you are homeschooling and you have kids at home, I go babysit those grandkids and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get up at 5 in the morning if I want to spend time with God. Or I got to send them all in their room at 1:30 after lunchtime so that I can have some quiet. Even then, they sort of draggle on out. But you've got to actually schedule it sometimes when we have kids. And I understand sometimes we can't, I'm not saying 30 minutes. I'm saying if you just spent 5 minutes on your phone reading a verse or opening the Bible on your counter in the kitchen time so that you've got a verse there and you just keep looking at it every single time you walk by. That is presence of the Lord. You are keeping your mind focused on Him. And so that's what I think the presence of the Lord is. I am not saying you have to spend a 30-minute quiet time with Him. So that's one thing, definitely spending time in the Lord. The other thing was confessing my sin. I think when I confess my sin out loud to others, especially the ones that it affects, God gives me peace, or He's given me peace that is beyond my comprehension. He has given me joy. He has healed me. He has given me freedom, and He has given me victory over that sin. And I believe the more often I can actually outwardly confess my sin, we defeat the enemy, because He says we defeat the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. And so when we can out loud say the things that we are confessing, I think that defeats the enemy. And one of the reasons, why am I even sharing this? There's 2 reasons I'm sharing, well, actually 3. I forgot, I wrote 3 down. 1, to bring glory to God, so that He gets the glory, that He is the one working in me. It's not me changing. It's not me producing the joy. Number 2, I just said it, because the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony defeats the enemy. When I humble myself and I share these things that are happening, it is God that gets the glory, because it's God working, because I messed it all up, and it gets rid of my pride. But because I share that word of testimony, the enemy is defeated when he is attacking our family. And then lastly, in Psalm 51, it talks about David saying, I am going to share with others what you are doing in my life so that they can overcome their sins, so they can avoid those mistakes. So I'm sharing my testimony with you in hopes that you will be encouraged and that you would avoid the mistakes that I am making. And so those are just a few things that I thought of about joy. The biggest thing is to consistently spend time with God. I will say also it's good to have other believers around you. I know that may not happen, but at least we can talk to them on the phone if you can't go out and see them where you are. But I believe spending time in the presence of God and consistently staying with Him and not getting in that little pity party. Even though I was depressed, I did not necessarily have a pity party till I had my Thanksgiving emotional explosion, but God really worked a miracle in my life and completely transformed me. And so I believe consistently spending time, confession of my sins outward, and telling the people that I affected the things that when I offended them and sinned. Do they confess to me? Not very many people actually do. Do they apologize to me? Sometimes people do and sometimes don't. Most of the people don't even know what they did at Thanksgiving that hurt my feelings because I've never really told people. I've told a few people, but maybe not the people. That is up to God. That is in God's hands. If they offend me, I have to forgive them. And that's what I did. Forgive them, apologize, and confess. So I just hope that this encourages you. This is not some sales spiel. It's not trying to show you my products. It's not anything. I think it's important that we just encourage each other. If there is something I can pray for you about, if you want to leave a comment, I will. Or if you want to send me a private message, send me a private message, but leave me a comment telling me you did. Because sometimes I don't always see them if we're not friends or whatever. But I will pray for you. And that's what I actually asked my life group. Between last video and today, I went to my life group and we all shared what we could pray for each other about. And I said, please just pray that this year I am paying attention to Thanksgiving. I am not going to let it down. I'm going to walk in the Holy Spirit. I am going to have victory over this. I already have joy. I'll close with this story. It's not a pride story. It's actually a God story. I was talking to my son Hunter about some of the things we were doing here in this group with the weekend takeover, and he sort of analyzes statistics with emails and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I was telling him a story, and he's down in Ecuador, and he's working online and work anywhere in the world. And I went to visit him at the beginning of October, and I said, well, have you moved to the hostel that Damiana is running? Because we went to Damiana's coffee shop the first day it was open. And he says, oh, yeah, I moved down there this last week. And I said, oh, I wonder if she even remembers me. I wish I could go and stay with you at that hostel. He goes, oh, she remembers you, Mom. I was like, really? He says, yeah, she said when he moved down there, her comment to Hunter was, your mom is so happy. And I was like, really? And I was shocked, actually. And he goes, I told her, well, my mom's happy because she has Jesus. And I thought, wow, that is so encouraging because it is Jesus. It's Jesus. If you see something in me that is good, it is only because of Jesus. To God be the glory with anything that's happened. Thanks so much for spending time with me. I am Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child. Y'all have a great evening. Tomorrow's Monday, great day. I will say one thing. I am giving a free class on Tuesday. If you haven't signed up for it, there's a link in here somewhere. I'm sure you can go find it. And I hope you can come. It's all about keeping Christ in Christmas. Thanks so much for having me. I'll talk to you later.